The most important and some of the most interesting headlines from across the country each day, carefully edited for you at patspapers.com. We'll start with the Chicago Tribune today. Rob Martin is looking for a roommate. He hasn't needed to do that in 16 years. The Chicago Tribune says these recession roomies are helping struggling homeowners cover their monthly expenses. Lead story in the New York Times this morning, an analysis of new numbers from the Census Bureau. Fewer Americans are moving. The number of people who changed residences in the latest study was at its lowest level since 1962. This is a big concern for the economic recovery because new jobs may not necessarily be in the same places as old jobs, and people have to be willing to move. In an attempt to avoid bankruptcy, General Motors is going to stop production at most of its U.S. factories for 9 weeks this summer. That report in the Detroit Free Press this morning. The shutdown would help to get production in line with the number of cars dealers have been able to sell. The story also leads USA Today, which stresses the ripple effect this will have through the entire economy. Free Press columnist Tom Walsh says this is the struggling automaker's last chance to get it right. Another state close to the auto business is Ohio. The Toledo Blade is leading with the GM story. Also a story on the front page here about a local plant that may take on Chrysler's minivan assembly. Look on the bright side, says the New York Daily News, citing evidence that happiness brings good health. The paper says today, exercise, listen to music, treat yourself to a fancy dinner. The FDA is going to allow 17-year-olds to request Plan B, otherwise known as the morning after pill, and they will be able to do so without a doctor's prescription. That report in the Washington Post this morning. Also in the Post on the front page, murder suspect Ingmar Guandik being led by police. He is in D.C. now to face the charges in the Chandra Levy killing. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, the controversial iPhone application called Baby Shaker has now been removed. The paper says it's hard to believe that this game, which involves picking up the phone and shaking a baby to stop the crying, hard to believe this was ever approved by Apple, says the paper. Dogs have a lock on the title Man's Best Friend, but the Philadelphia Inquirer says based on the success of a local program, canines should soon receive a new nickname, which might be Kid's Best Reading Buddy. Front page of the LA Times, a photo of a huge line to vote in South Africa. The Times says this is the toughest challenge in 15 years for the ruling ANC. A California professor made a startling discovery in the stacks at a London library. Almost 50 letters written by and to Benjamin Franklin. The San Diego Union Tribune says these letters have not been read for 250 years. The Union Tribune has a great front page photo, too. It is the annual grunion spawning. The story says this nighttime mating ritual has intrigued people for generations. And finally, how do you follow up on a book called Skinny Bitch? The New York Times writes that the authors of the wildly popular diet book are targeting men with their new book, which is called Skinny Bastard. We send out a list of our favorite stories each day by email. You can subscribe at patspapers.com. That's also where you'll find the links to all of the stories I've talked about today.